All right, awesome. Happy Friday, everybody. It is 8 o'clock, and I have the utmost privilege to be here with Filip Crispino.
Hello.
And just super excited to just to share him with all of you, right? He's just an amazing servant leader, and his journey is such an inspiration, and excited for him to share everything. And so instead of me talking anymore, I just want to take it away, and Filip's going to share his journey with all of us. So without further ado, Filip, welcome, and go ahead.
Wow, Stephanie asked that we share a little bit of our story. My wife is Monica Mestica. She is the square with our 4 little kids on there from tallest to smallest. So if you flip through the little squares, that's her. The story can't be said without her, right? And we really feel like our real estate business and journey in life, all that stuff is just starting like today. And there's always, to add on to it every day that you get to be alive. Our real estate story started in 2013. I started my classes with my mom. We both finished classes. I ended up getting my license a couple months after in 2014. And my mom never did, but she was a big time. When everyone was investing in real estate, that's all she did. And when I was 17, 18, she had told me to get my license, didn't listen to mom until 28, when my wife and I were really struggling financially with 2 kids. We were on WIC, on government programs, just different things, just to really survive. We were very grateful that my mom really stepped in, her parents stepped in and really took care of us financially. And, as a man, that really hurts in the sense of, and I don't want to cry or anything like that. So we're going to kind of fast forward, but those emotions, those feelings, those things that kind of, they really spurred me to say, wow, real estate, here's this opportunity. I'm loving the classes. I really think this is going to change our family's lives. And so when I got into real estate in June of 2014, when my license became active and could actually and join Keller Williams, at the time it was in Porter Ranch, I said, you know what? I don't care what happens. Everything that happened before this time, it's my university and education to go into this, right? It wasn't a waste of time. It was more like, hey, I have an opportunity to reinvest all these experiences, negative, positive, neutral, and I can say, hey, this is where I can shine. Right. And it wasn't great. I mean, our first 8 months, we still finished at 0, right? It took us 8 months to close our first deal. And I remember telling Monica, like, I came home, I hadn't deposited a check yet. It was like $4,500, after office split and all that stuff. And said, hey, with this check, we're getting off the WIC. Now like our first little flag, like, hey, we're done. We're off of this. And off we go. And when we never really looked back, it just became our life, our business. We started putting the business into our life as opposed to our life into our business. And that was one of the failures I had in our prior career in financial services, was that I felt the business was everything. And then we found ways to put the life inside the business as opposed to making faith first, family next, business last, right? So that's, and then over from February of 15 till now, we had earned Rookie of the Year in 2015, 16, we made 75, and we went through the numbers, but it wasn't until I stopped chasing residential commercial that year I made, I think it was like 70,000. When I kicked commercial out and focused only on residential and focused on leadership at the time, we made 95. The year that I just was only residential real estate, we hit 165, never really looked back. It was MAPS coaching, and then eventually partners, we call breakthrough MAPS coaching, that helped us stabilize. And we didn't feel like, making it in real estate was an accident, right? Because we had purpose, we had priority, and we had productivity all kind of lined up. Coaching evolved into full-time coaching the following year. That was the pandemic year, and I think all of us did. If we were really applying ourselves and keeping true to our craft, that made a huge difference. And this year we've almost quadrupled last year. So high five to that.
Yeah.
Questions? I mean, that's like kind of the clip notes of our story to today. And in the middle of that, we had 2 more kids. So we started with Max and Alana. They were born in 9 and 2011, and then our 2 other kids were born while we were in real estate. So cheers to that. Every time my wife went out to get her license, oh, she got pregnant. So she's probably gonna laugh at me or text me right now not to say that. Awesome. What other questions besides that? I mean, one more thing, volunteering and networking, that made a huge difference for us. I didn't have a background in real estate, so I knew that, from Tony Robbins and other books, the best thing you can do is collapse time frames. So I plugged into everything, the first 6 months, everything at the board I plugged into. Mapping, matrix mapping, how to do car forms, Jeff Kahn's classes, the lunch and learns, all that stuff. And then as I learned more, and then I started plugging more into the office and into other networking groups, I kind of centered into, okay, what's more specific? What's like one class I can take that makes everything else a bit easier? At that time I was introduced to one thing early on at the start, and then it evolved into, great, let's learn more about our community. So we joined, at the time when we lived in Panorama City, I joined the neighborhood council, joined the neighborhood watch for our little area, and started meeting some awesome neighbors that way. And it wasn't even the intention of selling, we just had crime happening. We were like, oh, how do we report this stuff, right? So it just became, how do we learn more about where we live? And you get to be this resourcing consultant that just takes you places. You're no longer selling, you're more of a coach, consultant, resource for your SOI, for people who get to meet you and you choose to work with. So those elements really kind of made our life easier in the sense that I wasn't cold calling all the time. I wasn't constantly selling. I felt more like, hey, when I reach out to someone, I'm going to be a resource, and my time is valuable to them as much as their time is valuable to me. It is.
That's awesome. So a question I have for you, because personal growth seems to be a big part of your life.
Yes.
So was that always the case? I mean, were you always into personal growth, reading books and all that kind of stuff, or did getting into real estate trigger that? And so I'll ask that before I ask the next one.
Oh, yeah, sure. For my wife and I, we were introduced, to entrepreneurship in 2003. And at that point, it was Think and Grow Rich. It was Jim Rohn. It was Tom Hopkins, how to master art of selling anything, all that stuff. And that was how we grew up. We were raised to turn your car into a classroom. So when I got into real estate, it was like, oh, cool. My good friend Alex Soriano, who got me into or introduced us to Keller Williams, gave me the MREA on CD, and boom, that was just all I played in the car for about a year, even though we were making no money. But all those things kind of plug into your head, and then you just have your breakthroughs after your breakdowns. And I had many breakdowns and thought, hey, we're finally breaking through, and it was like, oh man, gotta just keep persistence. And so that was kind of way back when. And then we just found a vehicle where we felt, man, we can crush it here, right? We met so many people who were living the life that they want to live and do the things they want to do, and they were delivering fairly well for their clients, incredibly well just in life. And we thought, okay, if we just plug away and play our way and we keep our family first, everything else will follow through.
Yeah, wonderful. So it sounds like, it's just a way of life for you, for sure, on your personal growth.
And it didn't start that way. We had a lot of ups and downs. Hey, is this really working? Should we go back to school? Should I become a nurse? All these things. And thank God, it worked out for us, and we found a way for it to fit how we want to live life and everything else.
Mm-hmm. So Philip, because you just mentioned, breakdowns and breakthroughs and all that kind of stuff. What were some really poignant breakthroughs that you had?
Oh, it was the first closing, which was awesome. Other ones came at different points. Like there was, when I was really trying to get into leadership, like, I wanted to be an ATL, I wanted to be a team leader, wanted to get into that mode. God bless him, Mark Williams, he said, hey, we're firing you, we're letting you go. I'm like, oh, okay. But he wasn't firing me from like an actual job. I was just volunteering, in a leadership role and trying to plug in and break into it. And that breakdown led to our best year in real estate ever, because all of a sudden he had, when I look back on it, he had set me free from the recruiting calls and everything else. And all of a sudden I had like 6 extra hours to work real estate, and then that's where our business just kind of took off after that. Another one, a lot of times I joke with my wife that every 90 days to 120 days, we have like an epic blowout or fight, right? But those blowouts and those breakdowns usually remind me, or, some of them are, hey, I'm not listening. Hey, Philip, when everything's gonna calm down, I realized like, wow, I'm putting business and clients ahead of my family. And I remember a few of them that led to some of those blowouts was that I was taking calls at night, right? You always hear coaches and people say, oh, don't answer your phone at night. But there's something in our heads, oh no, I gotta be like the awesome professional and take these calls at night. And I remember that being a blowout. There was, I was deciding for the family as opposed to consulting with my wife about financial decisions, things like that. So those are big personal breakdowns that led to breakthroughs, because when you're listening at home, you're probably listening better with your clients, right? Or you're listening better outside. And that's another Monica-ism. It's, hey, how you do some things, how you do everything, right? And how I was at home or how I was outside wasn't a reflection of how I was at home. So she was like, hey, you're awesome out there, but you're not awesome here. Whoa, that's a mirror, right? That's like a big punch in the gut of reality. So being more in tune in both places, that also led to a major uptick, because now all of a sudden everything in the business world just made more clear, more sense. It wasn't a cloud. It was like, wow, okay, I need to be cognizant of how I am here with kids, with everyone. And then everything in business, like I was listening more sharply, more intently with clients and potential clients. I was able to weed out those who were going to be time consumers and those who were, oh, hey, this is genuinely someone we can help within a short period of time. And short period of time for me was originally like a year, 6 months. Now the short period of time is like 10 days, 30 days, 60 days at the most. And there's a place for everybody. We just kind of follow up on a different wavelength, on a different spectrum of time.
Mm-hmm. So my next question is regarding breakdowns. You shared some aspects of it. A lot of times, we all experience breakdowns in our business, so then we can have our breakthroughs. But sometimes when you're in the breakdown, right, you can go down a rabbit hole, or just people get stuck on that. So
right.
What were ways, that you were able to get out of the breakdown so then you can have your next breakthrough?
Yeah. Well, early on, it was going for walks with kids. Like I would just take Max and we would walk around our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Edric sitting here and he's like going through the motions of a deal. And I remember those motions. And he said he would go for a run. And those days I would run around Roscoe Boulevard early in the morning. And that really helped me get centered. And if it was during the day, it was learning how to just go out for a walk with my kids. These days, there's a lot of breakdowns in a day. Like you're just like, oh, well, but you learn how to laugh stuff off, guys. Our business, when you think about it, the worst thing that could happen in real estate is a client cancels escrow, right? And then you have these crazy stories where clients, fatalities happen, or not gonna get into it. But the worst thing that could happen to us as professionals is the deal cancels. Like, okay, what's so bad about that, right? And it's like, okay, well, we try to save, we try to do different things. And you just learn from it and you grow from it. Like, how can we better prepare? How can we handle the emotions and manage the emotions of that? Now, when I'm trying to think back when I was brand new, but that was playing an awesome song in the car or plugging into Think and Grow Rich. I always kind of went back to the self-improvement part and realized, hey, Daniel Coyle of the Talent Code says it takes 10,000 hours to be a pro or a master at anything. And, how can I feel bad? I just started real estate, right? So it was one of those things where, okay, I haven't put my time into the craft yet, but now it's, just go for a walk. We're in an office, and all of our offices collectively are incredible. So if I'm having a breakdown and tough conversation with a client on the phone, it's pace, walk around and clear my head and make 10 more calls. Connect with people that I'm going to smile and laugh with and have a good time with. And thankfully, a lot of those are people we're working with in terms of real estate, of their real estate moves.
Very nice, very nice. So what recommendations, so we have people, on the call that are veterans, right? Been on the business for a long time, and some people that are brand new. So are there things when reflecting, like when you first started, what advice would you have given from your future self, from your now to you starting?
I would have told Filip of 2014, put your ego aside, there's a reason you're leaving this industry to join this industry. As much as you feel like, hey, you got this, people, like literally Gary says it in his books and his podcasts on stage, people live before you trust what they're doing. I really would have invested time in working with a mentor. And God bless Alex, I don't know if he's on the call. He was open to being my mentor, and I thought of the money, I thought of the commission. Two of my closest friends nearly lost their EMDs because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, or at least didn't have the guidance to really guide them through. So I would have told Philip of 2014, hey, listen to your wife and your mom and your mother-in-law and your aunt, they got your best interest. Now plug in mentor coaching, absolutely, at least the minimum, the mentor. And I feel like A, I would have helped those two families get those homes. And B, one of them would probably have $250,000 of equity today if they bought that house, right? So shame on me. That's one. Two, I probably would have told Philip, don't chase commercial. Make a decision now, residential or commercial. If you get a commercial deal, refer it out. Get 25%, be cool with that, or 10%, whatever it is. But don't chase after the church deals that are $10 million, and you're like, oh wow, I'm going to help this church group grow, and know nothing about A, their church, or B, commercial. And then C, I would have really influenced Phil to say, hey, that leadership aspect is super cool, 6-figure income, but you're going to crush it in real estate. Why don't you take this money that you're making and invest in MAPS coaching, right? So it would have been early on mentorship, stick to residential real estate where you're finding your passion, and 3, invest in the MAPS coaching relatively quickly. And 4, I probably would have, not that many never recruited my wife and I. He was just super cool everywhere we went, right? But I probably would have scratched at like, hey, there's something going on there, because every agent that we would run into at ALC clinic and other places, it was like, man, there's like an energy there. There's energy everywhere, but that specific group, something's happening. I probably would have asked for permission to interview a lot sooner than when we did. My wife and I with each other were ride or die. And we found in our professional life, we're the same way. We go down with the ship. So we probably would have been more open personally to seeking out like, hey, where else can we, as we're growing, where's the environment that's growing at our pace or higher? And we probably would have put ourselves in a position to look at that a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Everyone here is with forward living, so.
Yeah, well, we're, so blessed and grateful to have you
We're
part of our family. And it's awesome. Everything, like I said, your servant leadership here, you're always helping all the agents and willing to do so, right? So now so that was your, some advice towards the newer. Now that you've been in the business for, 7 years, and you've had some significant breakthroughs and explosive growth in your business. So to speak to the different agents, what things did you switch and pivot on, particularly this year, that just gave you exponential growth that you could share and
well,
that you're glad you did?
I think it would work for everyone. The word granular came from one of my coaches. She said, Philip, you're focused on way too many things. How can you get it down to where you can focus on the week, to focus on the day? And it was something super simple, like open an escrow week. And I know there's a lot of veterans who crush it. And my wife and I are really just starting on this. But for us, that was point one, like how do we get granular? And what it led me to understand was that it was hard for me to get granular when all I was doing was focusing on admin tasks, database update, which is very important. Send out cards or handwritten notes, which is also very important. What is it? Our rule, daily 10-4, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff is very important, but it was taking me away from key conversations I could have throughout the day. As much as I time block the way we were living our life, picking up the kids from school, doing different things that fulfill us, I just didn't have the time to really dive deep. So the first thing that really pivoted us was hiring a virtual assistant. That was a big deal at the time for us. Like the same way we invested $1,000 a month in coaching, to invest $1,300 into a virtual assistant and not know if this is going to work or not, was a big leap of faith for my wife and I. But once we hired Josh from Cyberbacker, it was like a game changer, because all of a sudden updating our database, having that all lined up, that is honestly for me, like putting in 10 contacts is an hour, not more. So I'm a slow typer. I think too much. I overthink things. Man, this guy just gets on it, knocks it out. So immediately having an extra 2 to 4 hours a day made a world of difference. Oh, Kristen. So that was a huge part of it. And then the next part of it was hiring an actual operations director, who happens to be Maureen Doyle. She's our TC from our previous office. And, not only she having TC files, but trusting her with the process and investing in her coaching with the perfect real estate assistant. And then it started getting my mind going, wow, hey, we can really build an operations team. And then the big part is coaching. Like, we know so many things and so many ideas comes to us. The coach really helps us kind of focus in on what's the next progressive move, right? And once we had that going, my coach and I started talking about net plus one. We have all these people that we're working with, however we're meeting them, however we're working with them. How can I add one new person every day to that group or to that pipeline? And one new person who's interested in buying, selling, investing in real estate could be someone who's on an 18-month timeline. But a lot of times when you're pre-approving and qualifying through questions and connection, you find that their timeline could be 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. And we're going to be in business in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 18 months, 24 months. So awesome. We treat them like superstars because they are. And then we grow and methodically stay in touch over that time. And so those are a few key points that we've been able to pivot on. Is that, and also I should listen to Many and some other we're not tax advisors, but Many had whispered about like how to pay ourselves. And biggest mistake I made was I paid myself such a high salary to start the year. I was like, oh, I'm going to pay myself 15 grand a month and we're going to qualify for all the best financing. Holy smokes, it was like the worst thing to do. I was paying a ton in taxes, W-2, a ton in payroll. So, if you guys can save 70 grand, find a tax advisor who'll walk you through that stuff. And find better ways to pay yourself and still leverage into real estate. And that's the other thing our coach is coaching us on. It's not just team building and personal production, but also wealth building and all that fun stuff. So thumbs up to Coach John's Brock.
Yeah.
Naps.
That's awesome. My next question for you is, what does an average week, and then break it down, because I know you are really committed to your family, which is amazing. You said family first. So what does a week and then an average day look like for Philip?
Okay. So Monday through Friday, I would ideally like to get up and Many gets up. I don't get up that early yet. Working on the Veronica time, Eileen and Emilio time here, everyone here in the room. But I'll typically get up between 5:30. People joke like I make too much noise and I'm doing push-ups or jumping jacks in the house. My wife gets on me about that. But we're ready. She and I are ready before 6 a.m. Kids are normally getting up around that time. By 7 o'clock, after we're hanging out and Monica gets the kids' lunches ready, we're all kind of in our cars by 7. I'm typically here at the office between 7 and 7:30. I do what's called calendaring, administration, and preparation is that first half hour to first hour before 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I'm in the producers club with you guys. And that is like gold. I mean, I've taken so many notes, so many nuggets, and hopefully people, take some nuggets from this call and watch it again. But, everything that we've done this year, we've made changes and little micro changes because of that call. And it's almost like having a MAPS coach every morning between you, Haley, Simon, Manny, Ed, the producer speaker on Fridays. It's golden. After that, it's role play for 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes it's on Zoom, sometimes it's here. It's with Nicole Hampton, it's with Eileen, it's with whoever between Monday through Friday. And then 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock is what we call our first and 10. That's my first top 10 calls of the day or key messages that I just need to get out. So it could be with a client that's active or about to be under contract. It could be a referral that had called the night before and I don't answer my call at night. I mean, the school principal called our cell phone because of a COVID outbreak. Didn't answer it because I thought it was a sales call or a client call. I was like, no, don't answer it, hold the line. So a lot of my return calls come in between 9 and 10. From 10 to 11, I work and really patrol through my database. So you have your quarterly calls that pop up when they pop up. And that's the calls I make from 10 to 11. If there is a sales meeting, awesome, pop in at 10, move the hour of power to 11 o'clock, no big deal. And then I make those calls then. And then I have a reserved time from 11 to 12 called QRF, called Quick Reactionary Force. All that means is that you get calls while you're making calls. And the idea is not to let those calls distract you from the key calls that you need to make. Because the moment I pick up escrow's call or the agent on the other side's call, they zap your time. They take away your time when we should be like really growing our pipeline, growing our database, connecting with clients, connecting with potential clients, and solving people's solutions, even if it doesn't involve real estate, right? Just connecting them with the right people or the right resources to help them. So that hour, now at 12 o'clock, I might go back, hey, work on more files, work on the business, might have a coaching call. It's on Tuesdays at 12. So I look at my calendar, I have set times, and then like Manny says, you bend, but you don't break. If you must erase, you don't erase, just replace it. So we got team meetings, we know they're 2 to 4 times a month. So I just move the hour blocks on Google. No big deal there, no love lost. The kids go to school in Woodland Hills, so I leave here or wherever I'm at 2:45, make my way to the pickup line and get them. And then from 3 o'clock to basically 6 to 9 o'clock every day, I kid you not, Monday through Friday, it's all about them. And I drive my wife crazy because I'll take calls in that period of time, before 6, because it's like, hey, we get $25,000 online. Let's give it a 2-minute phone call. Let's take care of what we need to take care of. Sometimes 10-minute call. But it's not like we're canceling jujitsu for our son to show a house, right? I'm going to take him to jujitsu. I'm going to return calls. I'm going to connect parents there. We're going to crush our social media, or at least reply back as quickly as possible to people. So, we use that time to build in, and then I see him, get choked out and tap out and him do the same thing to other kids, right? So it's all part of the fun of life. And, from 3 onward, it's kind of just all them with some in between. And then the weekends, it's kind of 50-50. Sometimes it's heavy on the real estate side. We're in the middle. We had a showing agent at one time that really helped, and we paid per door. Just to give an idea, we were paying $40 a door. And if you only showed one house that day, I gave them $60. And if you drove really far, like sometimes we went to Eastvale for a client, I comped them an extra $100, $120 for gas and lunch and all that fun stuff. But it freed us up, because every time that we outsourced, I was able to either be with the family, A, or B, I was, getting another client going on their process. So it just kind of really, when you look at it, we have functionary fiduciary, right? Functionary aspect, hey, we just need someone to put a lockbox on a gate. We need someone to open the door for a retrofitter. Someone to show up for the home inspector. Fiduciary, hey, we need to negotiate this contract. We need to have a money conversation with our clients. We need to negotiate repairs, right? We need to, show up and meet the appraiser. That I probably could have outsourced, but one-on-one does help push the needle a little bit, right? The listing appointment, the buyer consultation, anywhere where we're gaining a commitment from someone or having influence over another person in a conversation, person to person or over the phone, is really where the fiduciary steps in, right? Versus, hey, I just need to open this gate, drop off flyers, stuff like that.
Very cool. And one thing that I love is that you without a shadow of a doubt what your day looks like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously there's flexibility, but you have it down. You have your numbers down, you have your schedule down, and then the immense discipline.
A lot of Zoom appointments.
Mhm.
I always offer when we're scheduling the appointment, hey Stephanie, would you like to meet in person or meet on Zoom? And because we've been in the Zoom world, oh well, do you need to meet me in person, or if we go ahead, we just sign online, right? Like, yeah, absolutely, great. Let's just do it on Zoom.
Mhm.
And I kid you not, 80% of our listing appointments have been Zoom or over the phone. By the way, I'm going to mail you the package, any email if you want to review it. No, Philip, we trust you. And biggest questions usually about commission. We just go through our value proposition on the phone. Off we go, right? And then the ones we do meet in person, if there really is a conflict, because you just heard me say 3 to 6, it's a little hard. Something you said reminded me, like the people we meet between, say, 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, they're probably available between 7 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon and meet for coffee, meet for lunch, meet for whatever. And so the families or individuals I needed to actually meet in person, great. I just met them at 10 a.m., deal with traffic, get down there at 10, make my calls on the way there. My top 10 calls are already saved on my phone, and just voice it. Met them, connected, secured the listing agreement, came back to make calls, no big deal. So instead of dealing with traffic at 4 in the afternoon and making it to wherever, and you're adding another hour and a half, 2 hours for drive time. We just did it early in the morning or on the weekend before the big events kicked off at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Hey, are you available to meet at Panera Bread at 9 a.m.? Breakfast on me. Let's knock it out. Great. And then off we go. So we were able to still secure the 30-minute, 45-minute, hour and a half face-to-face appointments by just moving our time blocks to kind of still fit those, knock it out, and then move forward.
Awesome. Before, I know we're getting, well, it's 8:31 already. So one quick question, and then we can see if people have a couple questions for you,
Sure.
if that's okay.
Okay.
So what are Filip's 2022 goals?
Oh man, our goals are net plus, and I wrote this down, net plus 240, meaning that we looked at our goal for, our top goal is GCI 1.2 million, and it's not about becoming a millionaire or anything like that. It's what it will do for us in terms of our family life and the people that we working with us and accomplishing that. In order to do it, that means we're helping 60 families, buy, sell, invest in real estate. That's 60 families who will potentially each have $500,000 to $1 million in equity over the next, call it 20 years on a long enough time frame. So if we do that, that's $600 million, $60 million in equity for those families that we get to serve. So for us to be able to do that, we're building up our team, we're helping our families, we're scheduling time for our families. So to us, there's a purpose behind that. Part of that is hitting 240 in terms of net plus 160 listing appointments through a variety of things, and then building out our team structure to support that, and a way to help support them. It's not just my wife and I getting wealthy. We're actually putting together plans to help our director of operations become wealthy. Our VA in the Philippines, we're like, hey, we're going to work with you and becoming a landlord out there. I know it's kind of backwards in the country, but we're going to figure out for you to become a multi-millionaire. I mean, you would have to be a billionaire, but multi-millionaire in a sense of financial freedom for him out there.
That's
So
awesome.
we're talking about those aspects, even though we're very, very tiny right now.
That's awesome. Incredible, again, servant leadership goals and taking care of, your family and others. So it's
And I got to say, the environment here, it facilitates that. Like the morning calls, just plugging in. Many is constantly, 5 steps ahead. You guys together make it 10, 12 steps ahead. So for us to come in and just be ourselves, it's awesome. I see the energy from Eileen, from Emilio, Luisa, Veronica, everybody. And it's just like, how can you not be the best you possible when everyone around you is getting after their goals, having a good time, living life on their terms? If we didn't have the kids, but we had the discipline, I don't know if we would have the discipline without kids in our case, but if we had that, maybe we would do other things. But we do other things that we enjoy. Like me hanging out with Max is like hanging out at the beach, like him rolling and having a good time and him struggling through those things. Awesome. When I see our daughter in gymnastics doing her thing, that's like watching the sunset for me, right? It sounds kind of corny, but it's true. Watch them enjoy scouting, and I get to hang out with other cool, really, really cool friends. Awesome. That's like going on tour or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you just got me choked up because I'm so, family too. So I love that. But it shows that your pure passion for your family and your business.
Yeah, my wife would probably have a bunch of other things she could share, and it'd be a laugh fest. But yeah, we have a good time.
That's awesome. Manny, do you have a question?
No, I don't want to switch it too long,
Yeah.
but just really, you're leading by example, right? And the cool thing about you is also you're fearless, right? You're not afraid because of your story. You're not afraid to tackle any opportunity or anything that will come across your way, just from a deep place of humility, right? And sincerity of I wanna make a difference, right? In your personal life, family life, in the community. If you're ever in Calabasas, check out the wall of industry leaders. He's been in committees for years, and then next year for 2 years term, we're gonna be on the BOD, right? Board of directors in one of the biggest boards in California. So you keep giving, and you're not afraid to question yourself, your abilities. You just stand up and do it, and you bring amazing attitude. And I think that's what also differentiate the 1%ers from the rest. It's not about being better, it's just always consistently working hard to better improve yourself without questioning your abilities and not be afraid of whatever comes. So thank you for that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. We're all like athletes, you know, the coaches say, hey, you can run fast, you can score. Now we're asking you to do it in a way to save the energy, get other people involved. I mean, it's all around, and we have to be okay with that because the industry is constantly changing, legalities, economics, interest rates, people, technology, resources, all that stuff is constantly evolving. Why aren't we, right? So when you call something out, my wife calls a lot of things out. I fight it, and I find when I'm fighting something, it's probably something like, ooh, I probably should listen. I'm fighting it really hard. So that's one of those things that really stand out.
Okay, it's 8:36. Thank you all for staying on, and thank you, Philip, for your time, and
Thank you,
we
guys.
just appreciate the message.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you,
All
Flip.
right,
Thank you.
have a great day, everybody.
You do.
Great job, Philip. Great
Thank
job,
you.
Philip.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Philip.